Okay, so this is where we stopped last time. And what I said we would do is, where's the problem? Oh. I said we would do these two things today. Indicate where 12, it's now 9.4.5. Where does that need to be checked? And perform all other practical checks. Okay, first one. What it says, these beams will explode when you cut the bars if the bar is in tension when you're cutting it. Okay, so I want to cut here and I want to cut there. So the question is, are those cuts happening when that bar is in tension? So there and there, it's under negative moment, so the bars in the top are under tension. So check here. Okay, this one and this one, are they in tension? So is it positive moment? Well, of course they are. So check here. The answer almost always is, if you just had to guess, this one. Basically, every time you cut a bar, you need to check it. Okay, I'm not making you do the check. If you ever design a beam like that Navy beam, you certainly need to do this check every time you cut the bars. If you don't have double the shear strength, or it's something like twice, it's double the moment strength and 33% extra shear strength, or double the shear strength, you have to put extra stirrups. The bottom line is, everywhere you cut the bars, you have to put extra stirrups. Okay? Otherwise, something bad will happen. Okay. So that's that. So the last thing, and it'll be fast today, perform all other pertinent ACI checks. And this is just a code thing. Anytime you design something like this, you have to do all the code checks. And the easiest way to do this is, I'm just gonna walk through all the code checks, and you'll have this video to see what you need to do. So what I did is I took the slides we went over earlier, and I'll just walk through all these checks. Okay, number one, developed on both sides of the section. What that means is, did we check development length this way and that way, to the left and to the right? We did that everywhere, right? We checked the development length on the left side and on the right side. It's just basically saying, don't be a numbskull, make sure you check both sides. So you don't even have to, there's nothing to do. Did you check at the maximum moments? Of course we checked. Did you go an extra D or 12 bar diameters past the theoretical? Yes, we did that. Did you do that thing where the bars you're not cutting have to be at least LD from the theoretical place of the, we did all this already. All this stuff got done when we did the stuff on the graph, so you don't have to worry about that. And so if you don't even say anything about this, you won't get it wrong. It just automatically happens by the way we do the problem on the graph. So don't worry about this. Okay, this is the check. Is the bar in tension? And the answer is yes. Okay, so we did that one. Oh, it's 9.7.3.5. this doesn't matter, this doesn't matter. So for this part of the problem, there's nothing to do. So nothing yet. Okay, this is the first thing you need to check. We have, it's continuous, it's not simply supported. Did you cut more than 3/4 of the bars, or does 1/4 of the bar go from the support to support for the positive moment? So you come here. Two-thirds of the bars are going all the way across. So you say, well, I guess you got to write it over here. So that's the check. You just say more than 1/4 of the bars went from the support to the support. Okay, that's the check. There's not. I don't know how you can cut more than 3/4 of the bars. Like you would have to have 10 bars and cut 8 of them, or something like. Because even if you had 8 bars and you cut 6 of them off, that's still 3/4. By 1/4. It's almost impossible for this not to happen, but you know, it's a code, you got to check it. So okay, so that's the first thing you got to check. Did I make at least 1/4 of the bars go from the support to the support? Okay, this is the real thing you got to do. I'll save this for last because it has a calculation. And this is, so there's only 3 things you got to check. Does 1/4 of the bars, do 1/4 of the bars go from support to support? Does at least 1/3 of the steel go all the way to the negative? Basically, don't cut more than 2/3. Okay, so what we're saying, for the negative steel, okay, these 2 things are the positive orange bars that you're not cutting, at least 1/4 cannot be cut. The negative bars, at least 1/3 cannot be cut. Well, we got 2/3 going all the way for the blue, so we say yes. Okay, so those are the 2 easy checks. Did I not cut at least 1/3 of the negative steel? And did I not cut at least 1/4 of the positive steel? So really the only thing here left is this thing, I'm this thing here, okay? So this is the real part of that problem, is you need to check this, okay? And we'll do this right now, okay? Let me explain the difference. This has to do at a simple support, but you know, a simple support doesn't look like this. In real life, it looks like this. And this right here, that's the support at the middle of the whatever it's sitting on, okay? First of all, this distance here is the additional length past the support. And you know, it doesn't look like this. There's like a real thing. That could be, you know, that could be like 8 inches past the middle of that column. So that's the extra length that you get to put into here. Okay. It's a little tricky. Let's say our columns are like 18 inches. That's 9 inches. Let me blow that up. You're not allowed to put the steel all the way to the end of the concrete because it might rust. And the rule is you have to have 1.5 inches of concrete to prevent rust. So this distance here is 1.5 inches. So the extra amount of steel past the center line of that support is 7.5 inches, right? So that's LA. So that's that. Okay. MN. That's just, you know, T equals C, solve for A, Z is B minus A over 2. Okay, that's that. And VU is from the shear diagram. So you're going to have to calculate MN unless I give it to you, which I do. And you're going to have to calculate VU from the shear diagram unless I give it to you, which I do. It's all on that first sheet. And I'll show you where to find it in a little bit. The last thing is, what is this? Okay. And so if your beam is sitting on a support, and you see how that support pushes up on the bottom of the beam, it's like putting friction on that bar. It gives it better development. It gives you more grip. And so you get to have a shorter, how do I say that? It's better. Okay, so you always have that 1.3. I can't think of an instance where the support is not pushing up on the bottom of the beam. I'm still trying to think of a case. Oh, okay. No, I just can't think of a case because it's a simple support, so it's sitting on something. I have yet to think of a case where you would not have the beam sitting on something as a support. I guess, let's say you're making, I don't even know how you would make something like this. And then, I don't know, and you put a pipe through there and you're holding up the end of the beam with a pipe. I don't know, that would be silly. It would break through. And then on the inside you would have steel, like, I don't know. I cannot think of a case where you do not get that 1.3. And I've been thinking for a long time, and I still can't imagine it not happening. If I ever think of one, I'll let you know. But so you always get the 1.3. Okay. So this is what we need to check. Okay. So let's check. We got last time the development length was I can't remember what it was. It was like 54 inches or something. You can look at that was LD. Okay. The question is that less than 1.3 MN over VU plus LA? Okay. So that's the question. And if it's not, you have to use smaller bars or do something else, okay? This is kind of sad if you get all the way to this part of your design and this is not true. You got to undo everything because of this one little equation. Okay, so this is terrible, actually. So let's check this. We need MN, LA, and VU. And so to make this problem not so onerous, here we go. Out at the support, that's where you have only 2 of the bars. So that's phi MN. We need to know VU for the positive moment. Oh, where's the picture? And we're looking here. Okay, that's the simple support. Okay, that's this equation is just for the simple support at the end. The right reaction is the shear, right? So that's VU. So the question is, and fortunately, it's already less. We don't need to know what LA is, and that's fortunate because I don't think I actually drew it on the picture. I didn't tell you how wide that support was. So that's it. So to recap, the 3 things you need to check. Does at least 1/3 of the negative steel go all the way from end to end? Does at least 1/4 of the positive steel go all the way from end to end? And end to end for the negative steel means from, the 0 moment to the 0 moment. And for the positive steel, it means from support to support. Okay, 1/3 negative steel go all the way across. 1/4 positive steel go all the way across. And the one last thing you got to check, is the positive development length less than 1.3 times MN divided by VU plus LA? You do those 3 things and you've done that. Okay, so that's it. Your homework this is your homework, but the exam, so for 50 points is just reproduce this, and the other 50 points will be reproduce the shear design homework. And there will be regions 3, 2, and 1 for the shear design. I talked to Dr. Dolan. I told him I just can never make a problem where you get into region 4 on a shear diagram, and he said, yeah, that's impossible. Unless the only way you actually can get a region 4 is on highways. They have these things that look like this, where you've got support coming down, and it looks in proportion about like that. They're called transfer beams. Really, really deep, really, really short beams that look like this. And and you wouldn't ever design that according to what we're doing. You would do something else. So you will have regions 1, 2, and 3 on your shear problem on the exam. If you don't, you made a mistake. And what you probably did was you did square root of 4 instead of square root of 4,000. Okay, so that's that. I'll give you 24 hours to do the test. You just print it out, do it, and turn it in. I think I have to check everything on a spreadsheet anyway. I'm just to not get criticized later, I'm gonna make like 4 different versions of the test with, just randomly change the numbers a little bit, and I'll just distribute it to each of you that way. So to just discourage checking with each other. And by the way, I did return the exam 1, and I returned your marked up exams in the comment to problem 1. I also, to check all your designs, I have to put all of your each of your problem 1s into a spreadsheet. I put that spreadsheet that's for you in comment to exam 1. And then I put the solution to the entire exam, except I had 2 different versions of the exam. And so I couldn't keep track of who took which version. So I just put both solutions up for everybody. So you got to figure out by looking at it which one was your exam. The numbers changed very slightly from test to test. So if you took it with the big group in the classroom building, you're the first solution in every problem. And if you didn't take it in the classroom building, you're the second solution. Okay, so that's that. I'm 1 lecture behind now. I didn't make the cracking and deflection videos yet. I'll do that today. So the last thing we need to do for these beams is you gotta make sure that they don't have big cracks in them and that they don't deflect too much. And then we've completely gone over everything on designing a beam, like flexure, shear, and serviceability, and development length, and bar cutoffs. And then the last topic, we'll go over how to design columns. And bonus, if you want to do it later, I'll have videos on how to do footings. So by the way, just so you think about it, you have to have the development length for the bars in a footing. And remember, like for that number 9 bar, the development length is 5 feet. So just for development length, the footing would be 10 foot wide because 5 feet on each side. And so often the size of a footing is governed by the development length of the bar. It's crazy to think of. So it's nothing to do with the strength, it's just the development. So for footings, it's kind of important to use as small a bar as possible to get a smallest development length, and to not make the footings gigantic just because of development length. Okay, that's that.